by burning and by digestion than just putting the material back to the soil. But of course, life cycle assessments are prone to lots of approximations, and we don't always bring every aspect in. So I think that has to be considered very carefully. But nevertheless, David Paulson did think that if you burn the straw or if you use anaerobic digestion and then put the residue back on the soil, that's the best use of crop residues. We might like to discuss that later. Fertilizers, well, especially nitrogen, you get an increase in crop yields from applying a reasonable amount of fertilizer. You need to match the amount with a good estimate of the crop yield that you can get, which will depend on the soil and the weather. And of course, because the crop yields are increased, then the returns in roots and residues are greater. And that's a genuine transfer of carbon from the atmosphere to land, and it's an increase in food production. So a moderate application of fertilizer could be seen as a good thing. And indeed, if you look at soil organic carbon on broadbalk, so you're looking at an unmanured plot yielding round about a tonne per hectare per year of wheat versus a fertilised plot yielding up to 10 or 11 tonnes per hectare per year, there's a very small increase, 0.4 tonnes of CO2 equivalent per hectare per year, but only for about 50 years, and then it reaches this new equilibrium. The problem is you've got greenhouse gas emissions, CO2 and N2O, from both manufacturing the fertilizer and then losses of N2O and nitrate and ammonium after application. And if you do a more effective balance, then just applying 144 kilograms of N, you're emitting about 0.6 tons of CO2 per equivalent per year, so more than the carbon that you're fixing from that fertilizer, which means that fertilizers don't look to be a good way of sequestering carbon and mitigating climate change, certainly not in terms of that balance. And of course, we're still applying them today, long after the soil organic carbon content has stabilized. So we're still applying nitrogen, we're still losing or emitting greenhouse